Ship's log. Celestial date 218.255.06. We are in the Proteus system and we are heading finally for the drift after having once again engaged in a hostile Federation corvette. They chased us through the drift somehow, and we were able to leverage the fact that we'd already damaged their ship a little bit, and with a little help from Dagger, who's just getting back into the bridge from manning the gun turret, we were able to blow them up. We took some damage to the shields, but everything else is fine. The shields are now coming down, and we're getting ready to head back into the drift. Hello and welcome. I am Scrapperlock, and this is Starforged Alpha Cluster. We are with Krista Sutton, our main character, who last session went through the Proteus Vault with Dagger and Iris, and it was a mechanical geometric structure on the surface of the ocean world Proteus. And by the time we got to the end of it, what we found, there were some specimens in it, and like a maze and some other stuff. And by the time we got to the end of it, we ended up in a place that at first we thought was a holodeck, but it ended up being a malfunctioning time machine. And what we were seeing was images from the past and the future of other people who have been in this time deck rather than holodeck. And we started slipping in and out of time, and we faced some danger, and we got out of there okay with Dagger. And so we've learned the nature of this vault, and we got into orbit, and before we got to the drift, we tried to undertake an expedition. We rolled a miss with a match, and the complication was that the Shattered Federation found us after we gave them the slip a couple of anchorages back, and we started a fight with them. So they took some we took some damage to the shields, but otherwise our ship is in good shape. We've got most of our supply. We're doing okay on momentum. We've got all of our health and our spirit. So Krista is going to continue trying to get to Orcus. So I think we're going to do one more, and then we'll make our progress move and see if we're at Orcus, if we are successful. So let's see. So we're going to undertake an expedition. Chris says, all right, let's get into the drift now. And we are going to make a roll. And we are using Vigilance. We're using Wits. And our first move of the night. Oh boy. It's a weak hit. Okay. So we arrive, but we face a peril. So let's mark progress. And is this Orcus? Right? This is finish an expedition. When you finish an expedition, when it comes to an end, roll the dice. And a strong hit, you reach it as above, and a miss, the destination is lost to you, or we can't come to understand the true nature of the cost. Envision what happens. We can abandon it or return to the expedition. Roll both challenge dice. So, is Orcus where we think it is? Or have we been misled and it's somewhere else? Let's finish the expedition. We have 8 progress. Let's just go ahead and roll it. And we get a weak hit. And a weak hit, we face an unforeseen complication. And 1 rank lower. So we end up with, this is formidable. We get a box, but we actually get 2 ticks. But then if we look at our Explorer asset, we get a 3rd tick. So we get 3 ticks on our discovery track. 1, 2, 3, and we've got more XP, which means we'll be able to get another asset or upgrade one of our assets. We do arrive at Orcus, but we are going to face a peril. So let's see what the peril is, and let me draw in the drift passage, and then I will bring you guys back. All right, so here's the drift passage, but there's some sort of a complication. And so, so let's see. I think let's roll a space peril and see what we get. 20. A familiar foe appears or sends an ominous message. So is the Shattered Federation already here? Do they know she's already here? Another thing I want to do is here, so we're at this place. We have our legendary grave world, right? And we're going to report that the legendary grave world in the bloodied breach, and we now have a drift passage to it. So, it's an ancient burial site. It contains the interference engine. So let's take a look at what do we know about this world. It has a marginal atmosphere, and it has an orbiting ship graveyard. And then, if we roll descriptor and focus, we get decaying rendezvous. Okay, so let's just write that out. And then I'm going to say there are no settlements here because it's a grave world. So there shouldn't be, and I'm just going to rule that there isn't. And then is there any life? Extinct. Features radioactive hotspots and ravaged cities. And now there's going to be a peril, right? So the familiar foe and sending a message or whatever is the space complication from coming here, but then the weak hit, there's also a peril on the planet's surface, a guarded or patrolled path. Okay, so I think this all combined. There's an orbiting ship graveyard, right? So there's a bunch of destroy. So this is a world that lots of people have tried to reach over the years, right? We've been in this place for 250 years, and over the years, the rumors of this planet Orcus and the riches that potentially exist on this world have attracted scavengers and mercenaries and treasure hunters and lore seekers from all over the region. And they have fought each other or been hit by the defenses of the planet or whatever and been destroyed. There is a guarded or patrolled path. So I think around and orbiting around the planet, there is some sort of a defense platform. So it must be bypassed or defeated to proceed. And I think that should there be another Federation ship here? If we look at our faction, the Universal Stars are our friends. Risen Watchers think they're our friends. Shattered Federation is really the only enemy we have. Could it be that Brennan Shelton has escaped prison and heard that Krista was coming here through the grapevine, and he's here too? I think that sounds like a cool idea. So I think Krista comes out of the drift, and she sees the small snub fighter of Brennan Shelton here. And he, I guess he radios her and says, "So you finally got here." And Chris is like, "What the hell? What is he doing here?" And she radios him and says, "Shelton, is that you?" And he says, "Yeah, I thought you were coming here. I heard through the grapevine that you were coming to Orcus." She's like, how did you hear through the grapevine? He says, "I have my sources," right? Remember, he's connected with the Shattered Federation, so they're communicating with each other and that sort of thing. And he also might have tried to spy on the Universal Stars. They're the ones who sent her to Orcus in the first place, remember? And she says, "Well, look, I don't have anything against you." And he says, "Oh, but I have something against you." And so what's he going to say to her? Let's see. Do we need to know anything more about Shelton? We have revealed aspects. He's augmented, he's scarred. His goal is to solve a mystery. So maybe he wants to figure out how to get down to Orcus. And he says to her, so the only reason you must be here is because you know how to get down there, and I want to know how to get down there. And so what's he going to say? If you don't tell me what I want to know, he says, I'm going to radio the Shattered Federation and tell them you're here. So what's Krista going to do? Should she try the Kirk maneuver? Right? In The Wrath of Khan, Kirk says, okay, give us a minute, and then he hacks into the Reliance computer and makes them lower their shields. Now, Brennan Shelton doesn't have shields on his ship, but she could try to do a single thing to try and disable him. It's funny, I was just talking about the battle move, right? This is a one-shot move. Gosh, it's super risky. But, so what Chris is going to say is, all right, look, we have, and she quietly goes over and she mutes Dagger's mic without Dagger realizing it. Remember, Dagger doesn't really know a lot about flying with this Storm Swept because most of the instrumentation is labeled in a variety of different languages, most of which Dagger doesn't know. So she doesn't realize Chris is doing that, but she mutes Dagger's mic because she's afraid Dagger's going to say, what are you talking about, right? And what she's going to say is, she's going to say, well, yes, we found, the reason I'm here is because I found in one of my explorations, I found the security code, right, to prevent you from getting attacked by that orbital space station that's flying around and is clearly fully armed. And she says, if you open your data receivers, we'll send it to you, as long as you agree not to reveal me to the Shattered Federation. Now, she doesn't believe Shelton, because he's betrayed her enough times. But what she wants to do is use that opportunity to, like, disable or take out his ship, or at least disable its weapon systems or something. And so what she's going to do is, first she's going to see. So let's see. What's she going to do? She's going to. So I think this is a compel move, right? She's trying to swindle him, right? She's trying to lie. We don't have a lot of momentum, but let's hope we get lucky and see if she can convince him. And in the meantime, she then cuts her mic out and says, look, if he doesn't agree to this, you're going to need to fire on him, so get into the turret again. And Dagger sighs and runs up to the turret. And Krista then, let's see if she can convince him to, like, open his data channel to receive the data. And we get a miss, but we can burn it for a weak hit. Well, it's a miss. I don't want to waste momentum on this because we've got a whole planet to go down to. So he says, oh, you're just trying to send a computer virus or something to me. I don't believe you. And he powers up his weapons. And Krista then gets on the internal mic and says, shoot and disable his ship. And so let's just do a quick battle. They're fighting at range, right? I think fighting at range makes sense. So let's roll edge. See if we get lucky. We get, oh man, a miss. So Dagger tries to fire, but instead he slips away and hits her ship. Or let's see. So let's see. What does he do? Let's roll combat. So what he does is he summons reinforcements. Well, okay, that makes sense. He says, I knew you were going to betray me. And out of the drift comes another Federation corvette. So now we're in battle against two people, right? A ship and a Federation corvette. Um, I am still going to keep this as a formidable battle because anything longer than that is just insane in this game. It just, in terms of the amount of time that it takes. Whoops, no, we don't want to clock. So, let me set up the progress track and I'll bring you guys back. Well, guys, I have to apologize. Apparently, somewhere around when I did the journey completion, right, and we did a battle against Shelton. I'm not sure if I captured that. I hit pause and I forget. I thought I hit unpause, but apparently I didn't click. And I just did 15 minutes of combat that was pretty awesome, and you didn't hear any of it. So let me try and review. Krista attempted to compel. So when Krista arrived here, there's a defense platform around the planet Orcus. I'm guessing this is a summary, a review. And Brennan Shelton was here because we rolled a complication. And she tried to convince him to receive data from her on how to get past the platform, which she has no idea how to do. But she was hoping that he would open up his data channel so that she could hack him. He refused, and we paid the price. And I said, let's just resolve it as a single battle, and we missed. So they tried to shoot at him, but he dodged out of the way and said, I knew you were going to do that, and he called in another Federation corvette. And so we ran a battle. And so you can see that battle here. Whoops, no, nothing's battered. You can see that battle here. We made 7 progress, and spoiler alert, we won the fight. So if we go back to what happened, we raised shields, and we got to +4 shields. We entered the fray and got a strong hit and got some momentum. And then what Krista tried to do was, so we had determined that the Corvette and Shelton, the Corvette came in behind Shelton and they were flying together toward her. So Krista turned tail and made it look like she was trying to flee. She went around the orbit of the planet, right, toward the defense platform, and her goal was to go toward it and then skim away and hope that these guys would fly into it. That's exactly what happened. She got a strong hit on gaining ground, and she flew away, and they flew into it, and then I rolled a strike to see, are they going to get hit? And this thing, this defense platform, remember, there was a graveyard of destroyed ships all around this planet. So what this defense platform does, it's automated. It uses magnets to pull in the wreckage, like the fragments, the pieces of the ship. Then it uses like a railgun, a mass driver cannon, to hurl them out at targets. And so it reached out, it magnetically reached out, grabbed a bunch of wreckage and hurled it at these two ships, and we burnt momentum to get a strong hit, which is why we have low momentum now, and it hurt us for the rest of the fight. We marked progress twice. Both ships were damaged, and Shelton's ship was damaged enough, and so I did some rolls here, and so what happened is Shelton's ship was damaged in the engines, and he slowed down. The enemy ship was hit in the torpedo tubes. It was an odd number, the rear torpedo tubes. So it still had front-facing torpedoes and side beam weapons. Krista then tried to spin around and lead the Corvette around behind her and then turn and shoot at Shelton, who was lagging behind this Corvette. So she was sort of looping around. And she successfully gained ground and did this and fired. And she took Shelton out. His ship exploded. As far as we know, he's dead. But then we got in a bad spot because the Corvette got behind us. They overloaded their torpedoes. They got their weapons ready, and they said, our weapons are locked on. Surrender. Krista said no. She reacted under fire with heart, but the situation worsened. So I said, all right, they fire, right? They fired the weapons. We took 2 damage, absorbed it with shields. The enemy then, since she's still in this bad spot, got to make another move, and their choice was to use an unexpected weapon. They overran. They tried to overrun her and drop a gravity mine on her, which I said would not be. You could not use shields against that. We reacted under fire to try to get out of the way and missed. So that did 2 damage to the ship. So the ship's integrity is down to 2 because it was at 4. Because even though the shields are up, gravity mines bypass shields. That's the pay the price. Krista then reacted under fire to try and get. So what happened is, so then there was another price, right? And what I determined with the Oracle, I think, or whatever, was that she had gotten too close to the defensive platform and all this maneuvering, and it was getting ready to fire at her. And what she did was she positioned herself between herself and the Corvette, and she zoomed out of the way, and the mass driver cannon fired, and it hit the Corvette. And we rolled, and we got a strong hit with an opportunity, so the Corvette was exploded. And that's where I then looked to see how much time has gone by and realized, oh, this thing has been paused for 15 minutes. So I apologize that you didn't get to see all of that live. I really didn't want to retcon it because it was pretty exciting and cool, and I enjoyed it. I'm sorry you didn't get to see it. But that leaves us enough time for us to explore Orcus. So what I had just got done saying is, okay, Krista flies away from the planet, far enough away that she's not going to trigger the defense platform. And now we're going to have to make some repairs to the ship potentially and take a little bit of time. So the shields go down because they don't stay up that long. And Krista says, let's see if we can fix some of the instrument panels like exploded in her face, and when the gravity bomb hit, and engineering was damaged, and alarms went off, and the gun turret was damaged a little bit. So she and Dagger are going to take some time, and they're going to try and repair the ship. So we roll supply, right? No, we're making our own repairs. So we'll roll wits. No bonuses to anything. And we get a weak hit. We're in the field, we get 1 point of repair. So we add 1 integrity. Okay, that makes sense. We can't get it all the way back up, but she manages to repair and replace some of the instrument panels and some of the wiring, but the larger strain on the engines and stuff, she's going to need time and space dock to fix that. Okay. She then says, we're going to need to find some way to avoid this defense platform. So the first thing she's going to do is, studying this newfound place from a safe position, we're going to secure advantage. She's going to employ her scanners and see if she can figure out the right approach to getting through the defenses and getting down to the planet's surface. I apologize, I've got something in my throat tonight. I cough a little bit. I'm trying to pause so that you don't hear it, but sometimes it comes on very suddenly. So we're going to secure an advantage. And we get +1 because we are an explorer. So we add 1, and we're using expertise, so this is wits. And we get, gosh, I'm rolling terrible tonight. Oh my goodness. The assumptions betray us. So what is the price going to be? Let me take a look. I'll pause it, and I'll bring you back when I think about it. I think the environment introduces a new hazard. I think this defense platform is automated, but well programmed, and it has a bead on her. And so she can see that the scanners have her locked. Right, that they, like, it's, you know how like in Star Trek they lock phasers. It's locked. It's mass driver cannon on her. If she gets anywhere near the planet, the storm swept is going to get shot at. Which means we're going to have to do something like face danger in order to avoid getting shot at. Does Krista have anything on board that might help her? Let's roll and see if she's got something, and then I'll, like, if we do get a weak hit, we have it, but it's going to cost supply. Or it's not quite right and it causes a complication or a delay. Let's do the momentum. I don't want to lose supply at this point. So what has she got that she thinks might help her? Let's roll descriptor and focus. Natural technology. Okay. So so let me think about that. Okay, so I think this grave world has a minimal atmosphere, right? A marginal atmosphere. There's an orbiting ship graveyard decaying rendezvous. Not sure what that means. So I think what Chris is going to say is what we need to do is turn all of our telemetry off. Shut down as much as possible. This is like the Han Solo maneuver in the Empire Strikes Back, where he shuts everything down and they can't detect the Millennium Falcon attached to the back of a Star Destroyer. We're going to turn off as much instrumentation and as much power as possible, and we're going to coast in. And we're going to use the natural camouflage provided by all the wreckage so that it gets confused. And that's what they're going to try and do. So we're just going to have to get lucky on this face danger, guys. We have no momentum. And we're doing this with deception. So unfortunately, we're rolling shadow. This is just going to have to be lucky. Let's see what happens. Nope. Miss. So it's going to shoot at her and do damage. And I think, yeah, we're going to take 2 more damage on the ship. Well, yeah, we had to because we didn't turn the shields on, right? Because we couldn't turn the shields on because we had to keep all the electronics off. So she tries it, but the thing knows what she's doing, and the Storm Swept gets hit. Let's try and withstand damage. And we get a weak hit on withstanding damage. So that means the vehicle is not, if the vehicle's not battered, it's not, we can lose momentum in exchange for +1 integrity. Well, let's do it. Let's get some integrity back. We have no momentum, but at least the ship has some integrity because we're going to have to fly back out. So we get down, we take the damage. So it sees her, and Krista slams on the brakes. The mass driver weaponry sort of glances against the side of the ship, and then she just sort of drops out of orbit without any power, and then guns the engine as they get toward the surface. Dagger's like screaming because she thinks they're going to crash, but Krista manages to do a rough landing, and they still have some integrity in the starship, and yeah, they've got to hope that they can get more luck getting out, and we have no momentum, so that's not too good. You notice we do have some experience, so I'm going to take a look and see if there's anything that I can justify getting. But I don't think so. I think I want another ship module. So let me just take a look at the assets. Yeah, so I think I want a module. I think I might want the Stealth Tech module because that'll offset the fact that we have a terrible shadow score. But she can't do that until she gets back to Relic Station or some other starport. So we're not going to spend any XP right now. And we have landed on the surface of Orcus. And now what we're going to have to do is undertake an expedition to explore the surface and see if we can find this, what is it called? The interference engine. So this is done. And so now let's take a look here. We have traveled to Orcus, and that is correct. So we now need to discover the grave site on Orcus. So now that she's low atmosphere, we've landed. So now what she's going to do is see if we can find the grave site that we need where the interference engine is. We get +2 momentum per milestone. So we get 2 momentum. That's good. And +2 discovery ticks when we complete it. So let's go ahead. I was going to stop it. Let's go ahead and see if we can find the gravesite. So the first thing that Chris is going to do is, again, as an explorer, we're securing an advantage. She is going to, so she lands them on a mountaintop, right? And from this height, she's going to scan out the area and see if she can find any sign of, what is it that we're looking for? The grave site. Right? So there's some sort of a grave site. Now here, right, so there's an orbiting ship graveyard, but not like a graveyard. So let's go ahead and delete that since we now know what it is. So there's some sort of a massive grave site somewhere on this world, and she wants to find it. So the first thing she's going to do is secure an advantage to see if she can figure out what a grave site on this world would even look like. And so I think she is going to use 2 assets here, right? She's studying it, but she's also trying to recall knowledge. So she says, let's take some time. And she tells Dagger to use the scanners and stuff, and she goes back into that hallway where Pyro wrote everything. And what she's looking for is to see if she's got a description written somewhere on the wall of what a grave site on a grave world like this would even look like. And she's going to read that off, if she's got it, to Dagger, and let Dagger scan for it from the cockpit, right, from the bridge. So this is securing an advantage with 2 different assets, right? We get +1, right? And we can get +1 momentum on both as well. So we're securing advantage with +2 and wits. And we get, oh my gosh, we get a matched hit. So we get +2 momentum and 1 for each asset. We get +1 on our next move. And we have an opportunity. And it says, with a match, we take another +1 and we envision an unusual aspect. And we also envision an obscure but helpful fact. Okay. Wow. All right. So, so what's the obscure but helpful fact about the graves on this world? So let me see if the planet type gives me anything. How about a feature? Noxious fog. So Krista says, according to this, there is a noxious fog that seems to hover over these grave sites, almost as if there's some sort of a curse to it. And so she describes this fog, and Dagger says, yeah, there is something with that chemical composition, sulfuric acid and or sulfur and brimstone. Yes, there is a fog of sulfur and brimstone, just like you described, about 4 kilometers from here, and it is in a large area. But I'm not gonna be able to go in there unless I take an environmental suit. And Krista says, "Well, you have an environmental suit, right? And I've got the exosuit, right? I've got the Titan Mark II. We should be able to get in there." And now we're supposed to envision an unusual aspect of the site. So let's see what else. Let's roll action and theme. We haven't rolled that in a while. See if it gives me anything. Reject dream. Um, hmm. Krista says, it also says here that we have to be careful about exposure to this noxious fog because the fog can interfere with REM sleep and we won't be able to dream and rest. So I think that's what. So they can't like do any resting or whatever if they get exposed to the fog, but they're going to be in environmental suits. So they, she gets back into the bridge. She lifts off from the mountain, goes down the slope, and lands just outside where the fog is. And somewhere in this fog is a grave site that might have, hopefully has, the engine that we're looking for. And I think this is a good place to stop. Boy, we had some terrible luck tonight, but we ended with good luck and we are back to momentum. Nice to be able to leverage multiple assets at once. And until next time, I am Scrapperlock, and this is Starforged Alpha Cluster.